every conspiracy theory that turned out to be true. Some conspiracy theories have real-world foundations and uncover disturbing realities about governmental practices and social injustices, while most conspiracy theories only inspire curiosity and suspicion. These incidents, which range from unethical medical research to clandestine activities, show the shadowed side of power and the detrimental effects of secrecy on public confidence. In this video, we will explore several notable conspiracy theories that turned out to be true, shedding light on their historical context and the significant consequences that followed. Number 7. Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment. The Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment serves as a sobering reminder of the unethical mistakes made in medical research, especially when it comes to underrepresented groups. The U.S. Public Health Service launched the study in 1932 with the goal of tracking the untreated syphilis natural course among African American men. The study focused on a cohort of 600 people from Macon County, Alabama. The majority of the volunteers were low-income and illiterate, and they were tricked into thinking they were getting free medical care for bad blood, a catch-all term for a variety of illnesses. Although they were promised treatment, researchers purposefully withheld penicillin, which in the 1940s became the accepted treatment for syphilis. Rather, they performed intrusive and agonizing procedures to track the disease's development without disclosing to participants the true purpose of the study or their diagnosis. The volunteers endured needless pain, and several of them passed away from syphilis-related complications. Some of them even unintentionally infected their spouses with the disease. These gross ethical transgressions were committed. The trial went on for 40 years, even after it was generally accepted that penicillin was a useful medicine. The study was not made public until a whistleblower disclosed details about it in 1972, sparking controversy and legal action. Due to the aftermath, research ethics underwent substantial modifications, such as the creation of institutional review boards and the requirement of informed consent procedures, which are intended to safeguard human subjects from exploitation and guarantee that participants are fully aware of their involvement in research. Number 6. MKUltra. MKUltra was a massive, covert CIA operation that personified Cold War-era paranoia and the extent to which intelligence services will go in order to obtain the upper hand against alleged adversaries. MKUltra was established in the early 1950s in response to concerns about Soviet mind control techniques. Its goal was to create procedures for drugging suspects and manipulating their minds through hypnosis and other psychological tricks. The program involves giving LSD to unwitting individuals, including as civilians, prisoners, and members of the armed forces, frequently without their consent. Certain trials were carried out at mental health facilities or hospitals with individuals unaware that they were a part of a secret program. The CIA experimented with a number of mind control techniques, including as electroshock therapy, sensory deprivation, and even torturing tactics intended to weaken people's psychological barriers. In a well-known instance, Dr. Sidney Gottlieb oversaw Subproject 68 tests, which examined how LSD affected people in different contexts. In an attempt to conceal MKUltra's operations, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the deletion of a large number of its records in 1973, yet some data survived and were subsequently made public during congressional hearings in the mid-1970s. Following the public's outrage at these discoveries, government-approved human testing was widely condemned. Significant changes in research ethics and heightened scrutiny of intelligence agency operations were brought about by the consequences, underscoring the necessity of supervision and responsibility. Number 5. Operation Snow White. The Church of Scientology carried out a clandestine campaign known as Campaign Snow White in the late 1970s with the goal of infiltrating American government organizations in order to stifle criticism of the organization and its methods. The motivation behind this operation was Scientology's conviction that it was being targeted by a number of governments that wanted to lessen its stature and power. More than 5,000 undercover operatives were assigned to various federal agencies, such as the IRS and FBI, to carry out tasks like document theft, official wiretapping, and infiltration of groups critical to Scientology's operations. The operation involved concerted efforts to intimidate and harass critics in an attempt to silence anyone who disagreed. L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, felt that these steps were required to shield his organization from what he considered to be unfair harassment. When the FBI raided the Scientology headquarters in July 1977 and found substantial evidence of unlawful activity, including theft and conspiracy, Operation Collapse, and numerous high-ranking church executives were charged with crimes. The church's tense relationship with American authorities underwent a dramatic shift as a result of this revelation, which also brought up important issues regarding religious freedom and culpability for unlawful acts carried out in the name of defending a faith-based institution. Number 4. Project Sunshine. A very alarming development in post-World War II American public health policy and scientific research ethics with regard to nuclear fallout is Project Sunshine. Project Sunshine was an attempt by the U.S. government to investigate the effects of radioactive isotopes on human health, with a special emphasis on vulnerable groups like children who were more susceptible to radiation exposure because of their developing bodies. The program was started in response to growing concerns about radiation exposure from atomic bomb testing during this era. Government representatives approved the removal of tissue samples from dead infants without the knowledge or approval of the parents in order to collect data for this study project. This action went against the ethical standards pertaining to informed consent in medical research. The fact that their loved ones' remains were being utilized for scientific research was not disclosed to many families. Samples were taken from hospitals where newborns had passed away suddenly or from causes other than radiation exposure. Investigative media and legislative inquiries concerning Project Sunshine in the late 1950s and early 1960s revealed details that provoked public outcry over these unethical research procedures related to informed consent and respect for human dignity. Because of the incident, scientific research is now conducted with a strong emphasis on transparency, human subject care, and stringent oversight procedures meant to safeguard research participants. Number 3. Bad booze during Prohibition. The Prohibition era is best known for its attempts to suppress alcohol consumption through legal means, but it also had tragic results because of government-sanctioned industrial alcohol poisoning and attempt to enforce social policy through extreme means. The U.S. government pressed manufacturers to add toxic chemicals like methanol to industrial alcohols that were still legally produced for non-consumable uses, such as cleaning products, in an attempt to deter bootleggers from repurposing these substances for drinking. However, this strategy backfired catastrophically when bootleggers discovered ways to distill these toxic products into consumable forms for illicit sale on black markets throughout America. Thousands of people died or suffered severe poisoning as a result of drinking these tainted drinks. Estimates suggest that up to 10,000 people may have died as a direct or indirect result of this government initiative, which instead of effectively addressing the root causes of alcohol consumption itself, sought to enforce prohibition laws through drastic measures. This story serves as a sobering reminder of the perils associated with trying to legislate morality as well as notable shortcomings in public health policy at this turbulent time. It is a cautionary tale about the unforeseen repercussions that can result from well-meaning but flawed measures. Number 2. The Gulf War Testimony. The public's opinion toward military intervention against Saddam Hussein's regime in Iraq was significantly shaped by Nayara's powerful testimony before Congress in October 1990, amid rising tensions that preceded military action against Iraq after its invasion of Kuwait. Nayara was a young girl who claimed to have seen Iraqi soldiers torturing Kuwaiti infants. According to Nayara's intensely personal story, soldiers took preterm babies out of incubators and put them on chilly floors. These horrifying events eventually made many Americans feel obligated to support military action against Iraq. This story inspired lawmakers and individuals to come together in support of these alleged crimes against innocent children because they were appalled by them. Nayara, it was eventually revealed, was actually the daughter of Kuwaiti ambassador Saad al-Faisal. The Kuwaiti government had recruited Hilton and Knowlton, a public relations firm, to help them craft powerful stories that would persuade the United States to intervene. This discovery exposed major ethical concerns about the veracity of wartime propaganda that manipulates public opinion through emotive appeals rather than objective reporting, showing how narratives can be created for political gain with disastrous results that have an impact on choices about international relations, war, peace, and diplomacy. Number 1. The First Lady's Role. After her husband, President Woodrow Wilson, suffered a crippling stroke in October 1919, Edith Wilson took on a role that is frequently cited as unprecedented in American political history. This role reflected Edith Wilson's personal dedication, her husband's legacy, and the complexities surrounding gender roles in politics in the early 20th century. Following a severe stroke that left Wilson incapacitated for months and unable to carry out his presidential duties, Edith Wilson assumed the unofficial but powerful role of acting president, handling communications with Congress and foreign leaders and making crucial decisions about appointments and legislation without disclosing to the public the details of her husband's condition or involvement in governance. Her actions demonstrated a strong commitment to upholding rights and fulfilling obligations in spite of obstacles presented by illness, but they also raised important ethical concerns about transparency, crisis management, leadership, and policy influence during a crucial period. Her inability to fully fulfill her presidential responsibilities brought attention to not only gender roles in politics, but also how individual circumstances shape national governance, ultimately affecting the lives of citizens across the nation. These stories show how certain conspiracy theories are based on real government acts or cover-ups, and when they are exposed, they frequently have a big impact on society. If you like our video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel.